Cult Radio.
All right, welcome to this week's edition of Working the Web to Win. I'm your host, Carl Weiss. With me in the studio is co-host Hector the Connector Cisneros and special guest from Orabrush, Austin Craig. How you doing, Austin?
Hi, Austin.
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
Real good. Before we get deep into the show, let me give the call-in numbers for the folks out there. It's 213-943-3808. That's 213-943-3808. If you want to call in and get on the show and
join the conversation.
Yeah, that's right.
The more the merrier, right? And if you'll notice, too, we have our new studio this week. So we have lavished every expense to bring you an even more exciting visual presentation.
Of course, Austin, you get to see the real cool studio in the background there.
He has no idea. Today's topic is called Humor as a Weapon of Mass Distraction. Yeah. And the reason we call it that is because, believe it or not, there are a lot of companies out there that are finally figuring out that funny videos sell.
Actually, humor is in vogue right now. I mean, you see a lot of really, really big companies jumping all over this bandwagon. And it's because it's not really, like the title of your side of the blog was Mass Distraction. I said it was a mass attraction. And it could be literally both. I mean, because you distract them that you're selling to them, but you're also attracting more people. So that's the cool part of it.
Yeah, and everybody is familiar with, like the Aflac duck and the Geico gecko, but what a lot of people are not aware of is the fact that even smaller companies, in fact, a lot of startups, have really made their marks by using humor.
Well, we work with a lot of startups, and that's one of the things that we tell them to do. We want them to be different. And one of the best ways to be different is the singular, make yourself different by being funny about your product, but in a way that's still informative.
That's right. And that's one of the reasons why we invited Austin onto the show today, because he is the spokesperson for Orabrush. And for people that are not used to Orabrush, of course, you can see it on the screen here. It looks kind of like a toothbrush, doesn't it? But it's not.
It's a tongue brush.
That's right. It's the world's first tongue brush. So tell them a little bit about your story. I mean, how did the Orabrush come to be?
The product itself was invented here in Utah by a local inventor, a PhD, Dr. Bob. I don't think he's a dentist or an orthodontist or something. He's a PhD who's got a background in developing products. And he's 78, 79 years old now. When he started this, he was probably in his late 60s and started developing this tongue cleaner. And came up with the idea, got it manufactured, really had something that worked well, and even got intellectual property on it. So there's no other scraper and brush combination out there.
He kind of cornered the market on it, didn't he?
Yeah. He'd been, through his whole career, he'd been developing products for larger companies, and here was a product he developed himself and for him to sell rather than for a large corporation to sell.
Right, but it didn't exactly go smooth from the get-go, did he? I mean, he spent a lot of time, he spent a lot of money. I think he even commissioned an infomercial, and as a net result, it ended up falling flat on his face, didn't he? For a time.
Yeah, he tried everything. He tried getting it in stores and on they take a cut of the sales, they would just put it on the shelf, but nobody noticed it. He took it to an infomercial and had a very fancy, flowery infomercial produced. It dry and cost him $40,000. He sold less than 100 units, and these, I think at the time they were selling for $3 a piece. So he was having a huge loss on that, and was trying to figure out what to do. Local university here in Provo, Utah, took it to Brigham Young University marketing class, had them analyze it, and the students who analyzed it didn't think there was much potential with it. But there was one student in the class who was like, "No, hold on, come on. This is a widely applicable product. You could sell this online. I'm sure there's a way to do that." And started working kind of nights on weekends to try to market this online. A number of different things. One of the things that he wanted to try was making a web video. And Jeff Harmon about 4 years ago.
Yeah, and that's where you came out with the first Orabrush video, which I understand was shot in a pool hall, wasn't it?
Yeah, we didn't know where any local studios were. Neither Jeff nor I had worked in independent video production at the time. Yeah. I was studying broadcast journalism at the local university. So tonight in the evening news, an accident on whatever. I've been in front of a camera a lot, but never had done anything like this before. But Jeff knew that I was comfortable in front of a camera. We worked together at our day job, and he knew that I had a propensity for like fast-talking rants. So like if something was going on in technology or company policy or politics that I didn't agree with, like, you really thought about the implications of that? That's absolutely insane. Just think about what. And he thought this was really funny and decided, let's get this guy on camera talking about bad breath and see if we can make a funny video to sell tongue cleaner.
Okay, awesome. Stand by for 1 second. Stand by for 1 second, please. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to play the little video that you got on your homepage because I want the viewers to see it. I want the people at home that are listening in also to hear it.
Halitophobia, the irrational fear of bad breath. I'm a halitophobic. I'm not so much afraid of me having bad breath. I'm afraid of other people having bad breath. As in, hey buddy, your breath smells like crap. Maybe you should develop a case of halitophobia. Now I know what you're asking. How do we know if we have bad breath? You use this. You use a spoon. Now I know what you're thinking. A spoon, you eat with a spoon, you play spoons. You spoon your girlfriend? You take the spoon, you take the spoon and you stick it at the back of your tongue and gently scrape. Let it dry and take a whiff. If it stinks, your breath stinks. And if your breath stinks, this is the only kind of spooning you're going to be getting. The smart viewer out there will know, to check your bad breath, you notice that we checked our tongue. 90% bad.
So anyway, it goes on for a little bit, but I mean, the whole point is that you're basically poking fun at people's breath.
Yeah, and the first videos you had, you didn't have the tongue yet. The tongue came later.
Yeah, that was about a year later that we decided to do that. I mean, we had this video, it did really well, we started promoting it, and it kind of snowballed. There's a project, we produced that video for $500, we were doing it on our nights and weekends, and then it took off in a way where we're like, this could be more than one video, this could be more than several videos, this is a company. And Orabrush just kind of snowballed and grew from there. About a year later is when we introduced the tongue character, who became the second Orabrush spokesperson. And we knew that we needed to produce regular content rather than just one viral video, so we started doing a video every week with this guy.
And you know, the thing is that over the amount of time that you guys have done this, I mean, you have accumulated like what, 40 million video views. I mean, you're like one of the most watched channels on YouTube.
Right.
So again, it just shows that you can take a company pretty much from zero and start up using viral videos, and all of a sudden you're in the game.
Yeah. I wanted to just bring up, for example, this company's been so successful, they've actually now spawned new products. So the latest one I've seen is called Aura Pup, which is actually a tongue brush for dogs. And what's really cool about it is, you know, when I first saw the idea, tongue brush for dogs, my dog is not going to let me brush his tongue, but they came up with a way to get the dogs to brush their own tongue, which is pretty amazing. You know, so tell us a little bit about that item.
The idea for that actually came from our fans on the Orabrush videos. People would write in the comments or write on our Facebook page, hey, use this on my dog. Do you have one for dogs? Will you make one for dogs? And at first it just seemed crazy. That request so often that Dr. Bob, the inventor who came up with the Orabrush, started working on it. And he came up with a solution that was kind of a large pad of an Orabrush for dogs, and then an enzyme-based solution that you put on there that tastes great. The dogs love it. I'm not sure I would want it on my waffles or anything like that. It's kind of this sauce that you put on there. The dogs lick it up, and the enzymes help keep their mouth clean, keep their breath fresh, and cleans off their tongue as they're licking the brush.
And it's really cool. They got, if you go to the YouTube channel, you can see it. I'm sure they probably have it on the website also. But that, again, it shows you that with success, you breed more success. And again, you launched it on YouTube. So
yeah, we used YouTube video to promote that one. We used YouTube to kind of refine what our message was going to be for this product. Like, here's a dog tongue cleaner, but how do we educate people about this? Because it's a whole new product category. How do we tell them what it is, how it works, what the deal is that they would be getting if they ordered now? We tried out a whole bunch of different variations on that. And we also launched it on Indiegogo, the crowdfunding platform.
Wow.
So we put it on there and kind of refined how we were going to sell this thing. And by the time we got funded on Indiegogo, we okay, here's a product that we'll sell, and here's how we'll sell it. Here's the messaging that we'll use. Here are the visual assets, you know, the pictures that work. Here's the copy that works.
How much money did you actually raise on Indiegogo?
On Indiegogo, we raised about $16,000, but that was pre-orders on the product. By the time we started shipping, we had pre-sold, I think, about $750,000 worth of dog tongue cleaners.
Wow.
So let me ask you, Austin, I mean, you have the product, you have the video. How do you push it? How do you get a video like yours to go viral? What were some of the techniques that you guys used to push it out to the masses?
One that we rely heavily on is testing.
Mm-hmm.
So with our videos, we'll test everything. We test the tags, the description, the thumbnail, out a whole bunch of different ways and see which one has, incremental better performance. Thumbnail performs 2% better than all the rest. This title performs 1.5% better than all these other ones. And adding those all together, you get a video that in aggregate, with all those different strengths from all your different tests, work way better than any of the other ones on. And we do that on our website as well. Heavy testing on the website, and that's just ongoing. We're really done testing our website. We're always coming up with variations to see what's going to work best.
I would say that, that's awesome, because most clients don't like to do the testing because, again, they got to pay for that kind of stuff. So I've told them in the past, you really want to get the best bang for your buck, you really sort of have to at least do some kind of A/B testing to see what's going on. And if you leave that out, then you're really sort of flying by the seat of your pants, and you don't really know how well anything will happen or how well it will be.
If you're not A/B testing, you're kind of flying blind. You're going by your own assumptions, which are frequently wrong. And we like to think over at Orbrush, we're like, oh yeah, we've been doing this for a few years, we're really good at this. We know what's going to work. We've been proven wrong so many times. The variation, the test, nobody thought was going to perform, outdoes all the rest. It happens all the time, to the point where, kind of don't try to guess which one's going to work the best anymore, because I'm so frequently incorrect. The tests will show what works, not my guess.
And another thing too that I like to point out to people, because again, you're a shining example of how to succeed online using funny videos. But a lot of people are saying, okay, every now and then you get a Cinderella story, it can't possibly happen again.
Right. No, there's lots of really good ones out there.
In fact, we've actually collected a few of them, and I'm going to share one with everybody right now. There's another one that we have kind of taken a fancy to. It's called Dollar Shave Club. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Dollar Shave Club. But they basically based their product, they wanted to come up and sell razors. This is not something, unlike Orbrush, they didn't invent any super razor that has all kinds of fancy bells and whistles. Basically what they're doing is they're just selling, you get 2-bladed razors, 4-bladed razors, or 6-bladed razors every month. Come and get it. Sounds really exciting, right? And plus they're also fighting an uphill battle, because you got companies like Procter and Gamble, you've got Schick, you've got Bic, you've got all these major players in the industry. So how's a little guy going to get into the game? So what they did was, kind of like Orbrush, they said, let's commission a funny video. And I'm just going to play a few seconds of their video.
I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah. $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are great. Each razor has stainless steel blades and
that same line. I've seen 4 or 5 other companies now copy that. And also, they either modeling your pieces or his pieces. As a matter of fact, there's a big IT company that almost models his exactly. And they didn't get several million views like he did, but they got 286,000 views in about a month and a half, which is, I don't care how you measure it, it's still pretty good.
Well, and then you're in the game, So then what you want to do is kind of along the lines of what Orbrush did. You commission more videos, and they have too. Dollar Shave Club now has more than the one video. But again, this was a company that started off with 5 people and turned it into a success, because I think within the first month they had gotten over 2 million views and sold at least 12,000 units.
Yeah. And before we go real deep into there's lots of different elements that make all these things work. We're trying to give our listeners here how they can do this, how they can replicate this thing. And again, some of it is a little bit of luck, some of it is timing, but there are elements in there that all the best ones have, and if they stick those in there, they'll be really good. Because you got the chance of really getting a home run, but you can also shoot yourself in the foot if you do this wrong. And there are a lot of people who just think, oh, we can make a funny video, and then they go shoot themselves in the foot.
Or the other way around, you get a lot of companies that are afraid of poking fun at their own product.
Right.
Okay, and one of the ones that I kind of wanted to talk about was spam.
Right.
Okay, people make fun of spam. As a matter of fact, if you'll remember, Monty Python did a skit.
What you got then? Well, there's egg and bacon, egg, sausage and bacon, egg and spam, egg, bacon and spam.
So there is, again, something that's poking fun at a product, but yet it's a product that they just sell, crap out of. Really. I think, what was it? They had the actual number in here. I think last year I forget how many, millions of units, hundreds of millions of units they sold in here, but it was just an incredible number for something that people make fun of. So again, if you take yourself too seriously, sometimes you're going to find yourself in a position where you're actually doing yourself more harm than good. So you've got to be willing to.
Well,
to
Old
take
Spice is
shot
a
at
really good example of that. Here's a product that was essentially circling the drain. Nobody was buying it anymore. And what they decided to do was go funny with their product. And boom, it took off. Not because it was any better. It's pretty much the same product. It's been around for 40 years or 50 years or whatever. Now they're selling it like crazy. And they got the TV commercials that they have are actually tested on YouTube first before they actually launch them on TV now.
And have you guys seen the most recent Old Spice ads? I saw recently, it ones with moms, like following around their sons.
A bunch of moms, right.
Yeah, that their sons are now grown men.
Have you seen it?
No, I've seen that one. I got the one over here with Terry Crews.
They got the mom is like she's snaking across the floor onto the car, onto the bed, and they're coming out of the ground at the beach. It's pretty bizarre.
Good Morning America did a piece of that where they were saying, is this ad funny or is it creepy? Does it matter? It just got on Good Morning America. I mean,
got your attention, didn't it?
Exposure by being different.
Right.
Being funny.
Well, that's what I was getting to my point earlier. That again, it can be a distraction or an attraction. And the problem you have to worry about is is your message being lost because it's too funny or too creepy or too off the wall, or do you bend somebody a shape because you offended them? Like I think about the Cheerios commercial that came out not very long ago, and it was a mixed racial couple. I thought it was really funny as heck when the little girl pours the Cheerios all over her dad because she's trying to lower his cholesterol. But some people get really bent out of shape because it was a multiracial couple, that kind of stuff. So,
Which shows you that not everybody has a sense of humor.
That's right.
That's the first problem you've got. You got to find people that have a sense of humor. But again, what's great about working on YouTube as opposed to working on the major networks is what does it really cost you to take a shot?
Right, it doesn't cost. And again, A/B testing can essentially be free, or next to free.
And video production doesn't even have to cost very much. Creativity is not something that costs money. Is what's lacking in a lot of ads. It doesn't need a ton of money. You don't need a Michael Bay crazes and explosions production. You just need something clever. You need something fun. You need something different. That costs money.
As a matter of fact, I made a short list of items that I always see in the best commercials. They can engage people quickly, but a lot of this because they have quirky twists and turns, things that you don't expect. It's the unexpected that often produces the funny piece.
That's right.
They almost always have a good punchline of some kind, and it comes with the right timing. And if you leave those pieces out, that's what doesn't make them memorable. I mean, if they're dry, that's what makes them dry and stale. I know we've produced several here where we did
Well, we're going to queue one up right now because Hector, since he's talking, I'm going to queue up one we did with Hector recently where we put Hector inside of a snow globe.
Yeah. Hi, this is Hector Cisneros with W Square Media Group. I've agreed to climb into this snow globe to introduce you to an amazing offer that will shake up your holiday. 2014. To find out more, give me a call at the number below. Hey, the commercial's over, so knock it off. Sorry. For those who are out there in Radio Land, when I do that, I'm actually looking up through the snow globe at Carl, who's a giant. Okay, and again, all this is done with green screen and stuff like that. So the average person probably couldn't do something like that. But you could do things with cameras with not too much trouble. I mean, I've seen some really cool stuff where you're not doing special effects. You're just inserting a lot of things.
That's right.
And that's what makes it fun.
Well, and there are even several sites online where if you don't have the capability of doing them yourself, you can actually get some help.
Right.
Because what's the one that you were using with the little animations?
Right.
Powtoons, right?
Yeah, Powtoons. You can do all kinds of really cool animation things for next to nothing.
Jib Jab. We send out Jib Jabs. You familiar with Jib Jab, Austin?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we use Jib Jabs a lot. In fact, at Christmas, we commissioned a whole series of Jib Jabs where we put our faces in of all the people at the office, and people they really liked that because they got a laugh out of it, but they get to see us. So that's a really cheap version of.
And actually, we did a show on Fiverr not very long ago. You can actually get special effects stuff done for $5. You give them a $5, and people will do stuff for you. So again, if you're on low budget, you could still do this kind of stuff without spending a lot of money.
That Dollar Shave Club ad, I would be more than willing to bet that the Dollar Shave Club ad that went so big, they got millions of views on its own. I'll bet they were mostly just using stuff they had lying around. A lot of props in there, but they're just props that they had. And we at Orbrush, we used just just use like silly slapstick gags. It's not high-end special effects or anything.
Yeah, I put on here that, when you're doing the things, if you have cookie props, there's one girl that we've seen on video that the only thing she really does is she wears different hats a lot.
Yeah.
Lots of crazy hats. That's her stick.
And she's generating hundreds of thousands of views.
Hundreds of thousands of views.
And just blathering for like 10 minutes. I mean, the message is completely off the wall.
There's no message.
Right.
She talks for like 20 minutes, but she's got 100,000 views.
Because of the hats.
So you'd be surprised what really can make a difference. One of the things I don't see too many people do is interject testimonials into their funny, doing funny testimonials. There's one that I saw was for an insurance guy. I'm sure they're doing it on green screen, but he looks like he jumped out of a plane and he's giving a testimonial, and then he says, "Oh, I think I just wet my pants." Okay. That guy, he's got the quirky turn that you don't expect to see. That's the punchline that makes the big difference.
With our products, we've done videos that are kind of a wide net cast to draw people in. And then when you get to our landing page or our website, there are kinds of testimonials. So we're kind of entertaining and then educating right afterward.
Right.
And again, both of those technologies are very cheap. I mean, doing testimonials costs you practically nothing.
Right.
A lot of the testimonials that we have literally cost us nothing because they were just testimonials that posted on Facebook, unprompted from us.
Absolutely.
And again, I would tell our listeners out there that if you want those testimonials, ask for them, and you will get them. And that's why people say, "Gee, how do I get testimonials?" You ask for them. The other thing you do is you just be nice to people, and they will give you testimonials. I mean, on LinkedIn, for example, if you want people to give you testimonials, give them testimonials. I guarantee you'll get them back. Right. And LinkedIn's mechanism automatically produces those for you.
Again, the problem is a lot of people are afraid of asking for testimonials. Right. A couple of the clients we work with are actually chiropractors. I mean, that's a very intimate relationship. Right. And we first told them they really need to get some testimonial videos. They're like, well, our patients aren't going to want to get online. How many videos have we done for them? Maybe 40?
Yeah, about 40 testimonial videos now.
All their patients want to get on this thing.
All the HIPAA laws and all that stuff, doesn't matter.
And it works.
Yeah.
Because people know that when they see somebody that's a real person on the screen, that's absolutely believable.
Right. There's nothing like real video testimonials because it's hard to lie when you're doing that video testimonial. I mean, actors give themselves away, but the average person who's doing that testimonial, I mean, you can't buy that kind of advertising.
Right. Now, speaking of advertising, Austin, I mean, you've done the tongue brush, you've done the dog tongue brush. What's next? Where can you go from here?
The most recent thing I've been working on is I married last summer. Me and my wife, for the first 101 days of our post-honeymoon married life, lived on the new online currency, Bitcoin. I've been working on this documentary film about living on Bitcoin for the past little bit. It's a pretty crazy adventure as well. I mean, the online video marketing world has been kind of wild, but now I'm taking a lot of those skills and applying them to making a film, making an actual feature-length film.
Cool. Do you know that last year, one of the big, they're not called banks, they're called something else, but one of the big ones got hit for $3.4 million in Bitcoin.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, kind of a wild, wild west right now, and I figured, this is an interesting space where a lot's going on, and it doesn't seem to be going away, so I want to get involved in that some way. And I'm not a programmer, I'm not a cryptographer or a security expert, but video I can do, video I understand. And so that was a way that we could get involved in that growing space, that new platform. In my experience, new platforms present all kinds of opportunities, and so we just went out to it blind, but it seems to be working.
The Bitcoin subject, which was something that we've written about it twice. Mm-hmm. And we've done 2 shows on it. It was one of the first breakthrough big shows where we had, most of the shows would have 1,000, 2,000 downloads. That was one of the first ones that I think broke 10,000 downloads, one show by itself.
Yeah, and speaking of our show, one of the things we've also done recently is we've gotten a couple of sponsors. And one of the sponsors we actually did a little funny ad for, so I'm going to play that for the guests, and you'll get a chance to see it when you see the TV show version of it.
You may not know it yet, but if you smoke, there's a game being played right now for your right to choose where, when, and if you can use e-cigarettes in public places. Unlike most games, this one has seen so many rule changes that it's hard to keep up. Let's take a look at the current lineup. Get into the game before the clock runs down and the game is over before you even knew it has begun. 15 yards for roughing the spokesperson.
So that goes on a little more, and at the end she gets, creamed by a couple of big bruisers.
Yeah, and she goes flying off the screen. There's another one that we did. It's called the Vapomatic. So we came up with this idea at while we were watching football that we take a laser pen that I had, and instead of, you see all these really weird vaping sticks now. They're people, they look like Star Trek, like lasers, swords and stuff like that. We said, why don't we make one that's called the Vapomatic, and
it's a spoof on those.
It's a spoof, so it lights things, it has a laser, it has all this stuff. And at the end, the spokesperson comes in and pushes them off the screen and then gives them the straight pitch.
Hi, it's Michelle
So,
again for
and nothing fancy, but it's really funny. And we actually filmed it in a 60s 8mm film type format, and then it switches into modern day. So it's pretty cool the way we did it. So that'll probably be on the show there too.
Yeah, we'll have that on when we do the final cut.
We got about 2 minutes left. We want to make sure we mention our sponsors today. So, of course, we have Tub King and Senior Bath, where they have a bunch of specials going on their bathtubs. So, if you're really into a really cool-looking clawfoot tub, or you want some kind of safety bathtub, they have the premier tubs that you can get. As a matter of fact, several movie studios buy their tubs to put them in the movies.
From Tub King.
Yeah, from Tub King here in Jacksonville. So that's one of them. And of course, Via E, which is the e-cigarette company. So if you're trying to quit smoking, this is the really cool product to get. We got about 60 seconds. We want to remind people that if you go to the blog also, all the notes for the radio show today and the TV show are there. We have links to dozens and dozens of articles and videos and podcasts and so on. So,
and we also want to, of course, thank Austin for spending some time with us.
Yeah.
Yes. Be on.
So having said that, we got about, 50 seconds left.
60 seconds.
There you go.
Speaking of 60 seconds.
Our own Nagamatic
Yeah.
tells us what we have left on the
And
show.
I just wanted to thank our listeners because, again, we've broken month after month, record after record. I mean, our show is just snowballing. Last week we did 30,000 downloads, and that exceeded the prior month, actually. So one show exceeded the entire month. So, again, a big snowball going on here, and we expect that to continue. The blog is getting in 5,000 views a month now. So
And next week is we're going to have Next Tech.
Yeah, Next
We're
Tech.
going to talk about a lot of the things that just came up at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. A lot of really interesting wearable computers are popping up. Robotics is huge now.
All right.
So we're going to talk about it. You think it's confusing now? You ain't seen nothing yet.
So having said that,
Keep working the web to win.
Are the blades any good?